Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for the Monday Q&A, so let's get to these questions. First question. If a bodybuilder changed to powerlifting, would he lose his size? That's probably the most stupid question I think I've ever had in a Q&A, no offense. Would a powerlifter who changed to bodybuilding lose his strength? I have to think at this point that you people are trolling me, or you're new to my channel, or you don't understand basic exercise science when you're asking me if a bodybuilder would lose size if he changed to powerlifting. He would get bigger because he's adding more weight to the bar. He's using progressive overload. Bodybuilders are not bigger than powerlifters because of the way they train. They're bigger because of the way they do their drugs. They look bigger because they have less body fat. They have bigger arms because of what they inject into their arms. The muscle mass difference there is minimal. They have more balanced physiques because they train for more balance. But in terms of total lean body mass, if you put a powerlifter and a bodybuilder and they're both running traditional type programs, which really has no meaning at this point, they're going to gain size at about the same rate if they're on the same drugs and eating the same amount of food. There's no real reason to think that bodybuilding training puts size on you faster than powerlifting. And you have to remember, most powerlifters do high rep work also. They also do high volume work. They do all of the things that you think of as bodybuilding. They do all these things already. It's just part of powerlifting. They don't spend as much extra effort bringing up little lagging individual weak heads of muscle so that they look more balanced. They don't spend a lot of time injecting stuff into their individual lagging muscles to make them bigger. You got to remember, most bodybuilders, if they weren't injecting stuff directly into their arms, your IFBB pros, they would have anywhere between 3 and 5 less bicep measurement as far as actual inches go. It's scar tissue and oil, it's not muscle. And bodybuilders use a lot more insulin than powerlifters. So it's an absurd question. Now, as to the other one, it would depend on how he trains. There are lots of competitive bodybuilders who do very well in powerlifting and even compete at the elite levels. So are they keeping up their training? If they're continuing to squat, bench, and deadlift heavy, maybe not like they did as a powerlifter, but if they continue to do all of those lifts heavy and they don't drop their basic competition lifts out, they're probably not going to lose strength on them if they switch to bodybuilding for a while. And there are powerlifters, and there have been powerlifters in the past who were world record holders who spend months out of the year doing 10 rep sets only for their big lifts, and they still continued to be world record holders. All right, so next question. If you could add 3 pieces of equipment to your home gym, what would they be and why? That's kind of a tough one. I would say definitely a glute ham raise would be useful. I'm almost at a loss to come up with anything else. We have in the dungeon already, we have virtually everything I could think of that I need to eventually become a national record holder. I've got 3 different types of bars, I've got chains, I've got plenty of plates. Other pieces of equipment, maybe some thinner bumper plates. Maybe some 25 kilo bumper plates that I could find that maybe are a little smaller diameter so I can get more plates on the bar. Because with what I have right now, my limit is pretty well 300 kilos is all I can squeeze onto the bar, and the collars are actually hanging off the edges when I do that. So some thinner plates, and a third thing, maybe a better bench. All right, next question. Jason, knee wraps or no knee wraps on novice program? I don't use them until I miss a set. Should I use them at all, or should I use them and move as much weight as possible? Okay, the novice program is a hypertrophy program, not a powerlifting program. Knee wraps are for competitive powerlifters who compete in a division that allows knee wraps. That's who they're for. I wouldn't advocate anybody else use knee wraps. So unless you're going into a knee wraps division for powerlifting, I wouldn't use them. And I would still build my strength base without wraps. If you're going to compete in wraps, I would say wait till about 2 to 3 months out from your meet before you start throwing the wraps on. You should be training minimalist unless you're training equipped. Now, equipped is completely different, but if you're competing raw with wraps, throw them on during your meet prep, but spend the rest of your year building your raw strength up. because you have to remember, knee wraps, there's definitely evidence out there showing that knee wraps damage your knees with excessive use. And so if you're going to use something that's going to cause you an injury, you need to minimize the use of it other than when you absolutely need it in your training. Otherwise, you're just putting wear and tear on the knee joint so that you can move a little more weight and get a leverage advantage that isn't necessarily building muscle. Is because the knee wraps themselves are adding weight because you're compressing weight into the wrap. So it's not allowing your muscles to work harder, it's allowing the knee wraps to work harder, but at the expense of wear and tear on your knees. So no, I wouldn't recommend them until you're really in meet prep, to be honest. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.